Good morning. Welcome to Thursday, January 7th. Today we're going to identify the distance and time measurement for a scenario. A scenario is like a story or a situation or an example. And so we're going to be looking at examples and then identifying which things would be considered the distance and which things would be considered the time. So today we're going to be looking at a human versus a machine. I'm pretty excited about this assignment, about this activity. We'll be doing quite a bit of this together in our live Zoom sessions, which you want to make sure and attend every single day and be fully participating. So it starts off at the top. This is a presentation that we'll be doing together in Zoom. So we're going to be looking at how does the motion of the world's fastest human compare to the world's fastest car? Today, we will collect, organize, and analyze data of the first 9 seconds of motion of Usain Bolt, who is a runner you may have heard of, and the Bugatti Chiron. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not a big car person, which is a car. We're going to be looking at the time. So we're going to be looking specifically at the first 9 seconds of motion. So they're not moving, so they're at 0, and then they start moving. We're going to look at just the first 9 seconds of their motion. And then we're going to be recording the distance traveled each second for 9 seconds. So when we're looking at time, we have to use a timing device. And when we're measuring distance, we're going to use something like a ruler or a measuring tape or a meter stick, something that has these increments marked off that we're going to lay down on the ground from one spot to another to see what the change in distance is, or we might call that displacement. So you can see down at the bottom, we're going to have our runner and our car, and we're going to be measuring their first 9 seconds of motion. First up is Usain Bolt. We're going to watch this video together in class. I'm not going to play it here. Now, Usain Bolt is like one of the most famous athletes in the entire world. And because of that, there's a lot of money to be made on this individual. And so like every video of him is like seriously copyrighted and controlled. And so it can actually only be viewed on YouTube. It cannot be viewed on any external site. So unfortunately, you will have to click the link. It'll make a little message, and then you just click one more time to watch on YouTube, and that video will open. I've already had it approved for you to watch. Now, we're really only interested in the race bit because you have to go to YouTube. I wasn't able to actually just cut it down to when he's actually racing. There's going to be some commentary of from the sports announcers through it, and then at the end, of course, interviews and whatnot. You don't have to watch all that. It's when he is racing. And this is Usain Bolt's world record race at the 2009 World Championship. So he went to the World Championships the previous year. In 2008 was the Olympics where he set a record, and then he broke that record the very next year at the World Championships, and this record stands. So you're going to watch that video of Usain Bolt's run. And then the next slide gives you a breakdown, of what Usain Bolt did. So each 1 second, how many meters did he move in those 9 seconds? So as I look across, I can see that at 1 second, he had moved 4 meters. At 2 seconds, 11 meters. At 3 seconds, 23 meters. At 4 seconds, his distance was 34 meters, and so on. This data is going to be super important today. At the bottom of on the Canvas assignment is your actual student page where you're going to be recording your work. So I'm going to click on the link to open my assignment. And you can see you have a place to make a graph for Usain Bolt's race data. So you're going to take the data that is presented to you on the slide right here. So every second for 9 seconds, how far did Usain Bolt travel? And you're going to add that first to the data table. So at 1 second, how far did he travel? Then you're going to take that information and make a line graph, just like we did in class on Wednesday. Okay? Next up, we're going to take a look at a world record-setting car, the Bugatti Chiron's record-setting drive. This is from, I believe, 2017. I think there is like one car. It's not like a real car that you can like buy. I think it's a spec car, I think is what they call it, something like that. that may have broken this record since then, but at the time it was the Guinness World Record setting car. So you're going to watch that car, how fast it can begin moving. And then the next slide has, and this one will actually play on the screen. Oh, sorry. Has the data from the car right here. So at 1 second, the car had traveled 14 meters, at 2 seconds, 29 meters, 3 seconds, 48 meters. So this is the data for the car. On the second slide on your assignment, you have Bugatti Chiron data. So you're going to add the data to the data table from this slide, and you're going to create your line graph, just like we did in class on Wednesday. Okay, and so that's the end of this presentation slideshow. Once you have both graphs completed, you have 2 questions to answer. Now, these questions are biggies, okay? The first one says, how does the distance traveled by Usain Bolt compare to the distance traveled by the Bugatti Chiron? You should think about the total distance traveled and the distance traveled in each second, okay? So not just where they ended at 9 seconds, but what were they doing in between for their distance? Be specific and make sure to state specific data and correct unit of measurement in your answer. So how does the distance traveled by Usain Bolt compare to the distance traveled by Bugatti Chiron? Not only the end result, but also all second by second. Next up, who is faster, the human, Usain Bolt, or the machine, Bugatti Chiron? How do you know? Make sure to include specific data with the correct unit of measurement. So I want to make sure and use meters and seconds. A complete answer will include the following. 1 sentence stating your answer like this: blank is the fastest. That's it. Then 2 to 3 sentences describing the data that helped you decide who is the fastest. And then 1 or more sentences describing how you know the data provided means that the human or the machine is the fastest. So what do you know about what makes something qualify as being fast or not, or the fastest? This last sentence will probably be facts that you learned about in previous years in science, or maybe even from personal experiences. At recess at school, how did you decide who's the fastest? On field day at school, on your soccer team, in PE at school. How do we figure out when something is the fastest? Okay, think about your past experiences and tell me, how do you determine that? Make sure you use complete sentences. The second one, I count 1, 2, 3, at least 4 sentences to be complete. Okay, so make sure you take your time to really analyze that data and really explain to me your ideas on how you know something is the fastest or not. I will see you in Zoom. We will do a lot of this together. This video does not replace being in Zoom sessions, so make sure you are in Zoom sessions.